Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Today we're going to be looking at the mill building. The title of this video is The Mill Building, Lost History, Buried in the Past. So we'll be looking at some of that history today and some of these shots of Mill Pond Park and the mill building. Just thought they came out absolutely incredible. So the mill building's been in the news lately, and I think there might be a few questions that are circulating out there that I have found that pretty important. Can history be preserved, and is this safe? Today I will answer what history we're talking about, and then I'll get into some of the challenges that could be possible regarding the building. So the history I mentioned is as follows. The job at the mill and the farm on Chestnut Street is what brought Henry Warren to Ashland specifically. He assumed a position at Lombard specializing in patents and electrical engineering. When Henry graduated from the Boston School of Science, now MIT, the year was 1892, electricity was still a new thing. The Lombard Governor and Wheel Company made different kinds of wheel generators powered by water, used at most of the mill sites that are historical all around Massachusetts. I'm sure you've heard of them. Pumps regulators were all made by Lombard and were also used throughout the Massachusetts reservoir system. Pretty important. Hydroelectric generators that would be used later, patents made for those and shipped out to hydro generating plants. When the owner of Lombard, Nathaniel Lombard, passed away, Henry purchased the company, restoring the company and creating something called the Lombard line. These were the first power tools and electrical home appliances for any retail department store or home store. These included drills, chainsaws, and power tools, revolutionizing the industry further. Henry created the electronic synchronized clock and the first Boston Edison master clock, as well as many more master clocks used in banks, business, other companies for timekeeping purposes. This would also include time clocks where people worked. Henry first used space in the mill building for the first generation company of Telechron, the Warren Clock Company. The barn on Chestnut Street and the building would help scale his achievements moving forward. Launching Warren Telechron in the mill building, which would later become one of the biggest names in town, Telechron. Warren also leased space to another big future name in town, Fenwal. This is where the invention of the first thermostat regulator was created. This is where the last operating Marconi telegraph tower was, operated by Henry Warren. So now I'll try to answer the second question, and we'll go over some of the challenges with the building site itself. So we know that the mill building sits downgradient within the edge of the plume from Nyanza. Nyanza was a chemical dye plant that dumped hundreds of thousands of gallons of contaminants, most associated with mercury and other cancer-causing chemicals, into lagoons and streams that fed to the Sudbury River. That river flows through Mill Pond and runs right under the roadway and directly behind the mill building through this plume from Nyanza. So we know that the mill building site sits just within the edge of the plume from Nyanza, not far from downtown. We're looking at that map again of the Nyanza plume extending down gradient towards downtown Ashland here at the mill building site. The contaminants from Nyanza generated many rare cancers, leading to deaths amongst Ashland citizens, their families, and children. So we know lab data has been collected in 2022 and again in 2025, detecting levels of PCE, among other high levels, found on this lab sheet in 2022. So we're going to look at those. So we're seeing those chemicals, such as PCE, at higher levels than deemed safe on this sheet, and we will look at the 2025 report on the data and lab sheet, and those samples and measurements are a little less, but here they are. So this is just what I can find here. After certain remediations are done, the latest information on a solution mentions that specific remediation would have to occur in addition to a vapor barrier that would be installed under the building. Will that be safe? So we have the plume map and the lab data from 2022 and 2025. The info that I found here, I've put in the information and links that can be found in the description of the video below. And with that being said, I always appreciate your support with the channel, spreading the word in the community. Cheers, take care, and have a great night.